Welcome to Talking Junk.
I'm your host, Jason Melendez.
Live now every week on Fridays.
Talking Junk.
A multitude of professionals in different aspects, different walks of life.
You have to come on and talk junk like a normal person.
Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every Friday night from Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and our TalkingJunkNetwork.com. Be sure to go to that website, click on it. There's all different kinds of links. But tonight, we're also going to do something a little different. We are going to have almost like a round table of healing happening right now. We're going to have experts on telling you from different perspectives of healing, how to heal yourself, how to get over certain things, and what steps you need to take to be you. So without further ado, let me introduce my guests tonight. First, she is the owner of Aces Matter, the founder, of Aces Matter nonprofit. Miss Cendie, how are you tonight? You're muted. You're muted, Cendie.
So you called me typing. I was like, I was waiting for 5, 4, 3. Hi, what's up, Jason?
I'm sorry. I try to do stuff professional, but I haven't gotten there yet.
No, but you know what? Let's let our hair down tonight because you say it's levels to this shit. So I'm trying to figure out like what level we on tonight, like where we gonna go. So let's do it.
All right. Talking about levels. This man knows about levels of healing. He's been healing for years and teaching people how to heal themselves now as a motivational speaker. Johannes Atlas. Ladies and gentlemen.
Bring him out.
What's up, squad?
So what's going on? How's everybody's week been?
It's been good. I can't complain. I had a little injury this week, but I'm good, man. Smile through it. All is well.
Oh, hopefully it's not too serious.
It's it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. I got like impaled hopping a fence. I got impaled by one of the spikes on the top of the fence, but I didn't notice it until after. I felt something dripping down my leg. I was like, oh shoot, what is that? And I look and there it is. And so I went to the ER and got it cleaned out. And this lady put saline solution in it. And yo, that mess hurt when she poured that saline in it. That was just the worst part of it. But I'm good.
So the spike went straight through the leg?
Yeah. Well, not through it. It just like went in probably about an inch.
Oof, still.
So we're not just gonna glaze over the fact that you were jumping a fence. Can we like get some context?
Well, I was working.
Oh,
I was working at the time. Yeah, and I was running from a dog, and I didn't have time to open the fence and close it, so I just hopped in. So I cleared it. I thought I cleared it at least, and then I look. I'm walking away, and I'm like, oh, there's something dripping.
So the dog won. The dog won.
The gate won.
Yeah, I'll go
sideways interference by the gate.
Right.
Always that one that get away. Yeah.
90% of you cleared the gate, though. You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah. See, that's that glass half full perspective. I like that.
Next time you'll know.
Oh, good,
perspective of the gate. You don't want to feel another barb in the ass,
That's what's up.
Now, healing. Now, we know healing as humans and people, individuals, it all means different things. Like you're healing from being impaled right now. But people have different things, different levels, if you would, of healing that they're going through right now. And I don't want to say any level is higher than any other level because all healing is hard. But would you say that every type of healing would start with recognizing what makes you hurt?
Yeah, that's a good way to start that. It starts with awareness, or even I would say even before that, to know that that there is something going on, to know that hey, there is some pain there. There's a certain way that I'm feeling, and it's not a desirable way. I notice that I'm feeling this way, and it's not something that I want to continue to feel. So, what's causing this, and why am I feeling this way, and how can I bring some solution to it?
I have to keep myself muted because I have a pattern of interrupting. Because something be like so good, I'll be like, ah. So if I mute myself, I can't interrupt.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I'm feeling what Johannes is saying because, like, I think my misconception that I had when I thought about like what healing would look like, I had this vision that I had to get to this like Buddha state where I could just and so like it seemed unrealistic to me, right? Like I think we all have a different path, one towards healing, but I think once we like clear up what do we feel like our definition or that visual of healing should look like, because mine was distorted. Like I was thinking there's no way I can like elevate to that level where I can meditate for 30 minutes at a time. I had these thoughts in my head that I was telling myself that I couldn't do something, right? Now, when I meditate, I don't want to come out, and so it was like I was programming myself to believe that I couldn't do something because that just wasn't me. And although I haven't gotten to that, how they say they have what are those, like the Buddha, like sitting in the throne, like all happy. You know what I'm talking about, the Buddha statue, right?
Yeah.
I'm not there, whatever there is, right? But I'm at a place that was better than
moment of tranquility.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? But I think for us, it's just like changing the thought, like it starts with like, what is the thought that I'm thinking, first of all, right? And we have two choices. I can think this way about myself, or I can think this way about myself, positive and negative. One of them is going to make me feel bad, and it's going to like put all of these toxins in my body. And the other thought is going to make me feel better. So I have to make a conscious decision of which one of those I'm going to choose. So I think it all really starts with the thought. And I'm going to pass my microphone. I'm going to pass it. What y'all think?
No, I like what you said there, because in exactly that, it does start with a thought, because it goes from a thought to a feeling to an action. And so this is like the main example that I use here. Let's say you get into a fight with your significant other, and you guys are talking about something, and sometimes it's the process is sometimes quicker than others, but you're thinking, or even before the fight, you're thinking about something that they did that that pissed you off. And the more that you're thinking about it, the more you begin to feel this feeling of rage or bitterness, or whatever the feeling is.
Right, you feel it in the pit of your stomach. Exactly.
And then from the feeling, it goes to the action of going to say something, or pushing them, or whatever action follows that. But it starts with a thought, and that's the thing that we have to be mindful of, because it's the thoughts that we entertain that brings weight. It's like our thoughts are kind of like a gateway, in like spiritually, they're like a portal or a gateway to to more thoughts, or to more things or feelings that align with that thought. And so what the thoughts that we entertain is something to be super mindful of.
Right, because emotions rule everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a man that can control his emotions or her emotions, or whatever, they, she, he, whatever, right? Whatever pronoun we want to go with. The person that can control their emotions is a person with superpowers. And I think for those of us who have different interpretations of like how we receive scripture, I think Jesus would be a perfect example of somebody who, besides the table incident, I know he threw the table when he saw that people were selling. I remember that story. I don't know if y'all know that story about Jesus throwing the table over.
Yeah.
Most of
the time, that was reasonable. That was a little reasonable.
But most of the time, he was described as a person that could manage his emotions, right? And I think, like you said, emotions have motion, and like your thought, feeling, action, right? Like it all starts with the thought, which is then going to put a feeling in our heart, which is then going to cause our gut reaction, right? Now I'm about to react to what just happened. And when that happens, the way we try to explain it at Aces Matter, it means you are offline. You go offline. So it basically means that
you're on autopilot right now.
You're on autopilot, and for those who believe in the theory of evolution, how we evolved from like lizards or mammal or what is it?
Monkeys.
The lizard, the monkeys, and but then like there was a lizard stage.
It was fish first, and then horse, like a little amoeba or something like that.
Yes,
then
that whatever that was that they tried to teach us in science way back when, right? Whatever that was. So the point that I'm trying to make is that we go into that reptilian stage where we turn off all of the thoughts that are at the top of our smart part of the brain, and we just go offline. And what does a lizard do when you walk up on him? If it's a small lizard, what does a lizard do?
It takes off.
Immediately. And so as humans, we do the same thing, right? So we react so suddenly because we're offline. Like there is no air getting to the science people call it the prefrontal cortex. We call it our forehead, right? There's no air getting to the forehead. And when no air is getting to the forehead, you cannot make conscious, wise decisions. So anyhow, thought, feeling, action, like you're on point with that. But the whole thing is that we can always fix it. It's fixable if you don't like it, and it's through healing and practice and meditation, like I said earlier.
Right. And a lot of time, just going back to you saying you have to be a strong human being to be able to control your emotions. But a lot of the times you're dressing up your emotions as Superman when really they're Clark Kent.
True story.
Yeah.
And you're really repressing it and causing more damage.
True story.
How do you get out of that funk?
Can you say that again? How do we what?
How do you get out of that funk?
I think to actually address something real quick, Cendie said with the lizard thing, what that is that they really do actually, before they even take off, they bust out like 5 push-ups and then get out of it.
You see that
they do. But as far as with our emotions, we have this tendency to just react in such a way. And it's crazy because most of our lives, I was just talking to my friend about this the other day, is that we tend to live most of our lives on autopilot. And, like you take, for example, when you're driving, you're not thinking about driving. I mean, for those who, have been driving for some time, you don't think about it. You just go, your mind's elsewhere. You're thinking about everything else, unless you're in a place, unfamiliar, then you're, actively, consciously driving, but it's choosing to, it's making the decision that, hey, let me get off of autopilot. Because then we even have to be aware that we're on autopilot, and then, say, hey, let me make a conscious decision. Let me make a active, conscious choice to choose to do something else. And even if, and so this is the part where we have to be patient with ourselves, because even if we don't get it the first time, hey, next time, somebody is getting on my nerves, I'm going to not react like this. And, but then, we react like that anyways. And then 5 minutes later, we're like, oh, dang, I forgot to da-da-da-da-da. So then each time we shorten the gap of how much time it takes for us to realize, hey, I need to make a conscious choice and not react that way. And eventually we get to that point when somebody does say something or something happens, we're not so quick to, oh, why'd you do this? Da-da-da-da-da. Right. And I think it's just, conscious, choosing to make a conscious decision.
And it takes practice, Johannes, right? Like you ain't going to just learn it in the moment, right? Like you got to practice ahead of time. Like the fire breathing dragon, you got to practice ahead of time. Like I tell people with like explaining what you just said in terms of ACEs, like when we get into that reptilian stage, and I'm not even a doctor, right? I just started reading this stuff because I was like, I don't like the way I've been responding to stuff, right? So a part of my formula was to try to figure out why do I react so quickly? And why does it take me so long to recover whenever I do go through those moments where something has set my stress off? But all that to say is that we have those moments where we can react. But the key to reacting is like, do I have the ability to pause? Like if I can't pause in that moment to think because I'm immediately ready to react, I'm going to make an unwise choice most of the time. So I think when we sit back and we assess, like, how did I get here? And with ACEs, we just explain, like, your ACEs, you end up acting out your ACEs in adulthood. And it gets progressively worse, right? So you had these things happen to you in childhood. And maybe nobody ever showed you how to like breathe whenever you're upset, or when you feel like you want to like, knock somebody out. Maybe nobody ever showed you how to do it. Maybe somebody actually walked you to the fight so that you could knock somebody out, and so if you never had a template in your life to show you how to calm your stress response system, you become an adult using those same tools that you learned when you were a child. You just use them in an adult way, if you will. But then even some of us, you see on trending videos, viral videos, where some of these people are physically fighting at work. Who does that?
Right. Somebody that doesn't like their job very much.
Somebody that never learned, somebody that said, you know what, I'm going to be like Jesus. I'm just going to flip this table over and I'm going to ask for forgiveness later, But just imagine the people who don't get that template, the template of like showing people how to process bullying, how to process rejection, how to process anger. If nobody gives you that template, you ride with what you saw the entire time you were growing up.
Right.
And that's how you respond in your relationships to your boss that don't give you the raise. That's why people go postal.
Definitely. And for you young viewers that don't understand that reference, my old ass sure does. There was a guy that didn't take action on his feelings. Instead, he went with his reaction and got a gun and shot up his the post office he worked in. I believe it was in New York, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember. I just remember it was famous, like because my mom worked at the post office when that happened, and I just remember not that particular post office, but she was a postal worker. And I do believe, and then you just hear that story, and it's like now it just became a famous thing. Somebody went postal, like that's when somebody is
the phrase came
offline. They are offline, and ain't no talking, no common sense into them, because they are walking around like the fire-breathing dragon, ready to like blow fire on anything that comes in their way. And if you think about it, the last thing I'm gonna say, if you think about it from a scripture standpoint, it said that God breathed life into us through our nostrils. And if you breathe in air, and I know I ain't gonna make this into a church sermon, but if you breathe in air, right, that's like breathing in life. What does the dragon do? Do we see the dragon taking some deep breaths, or do we see him blowing the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
That was deep. There's some levels to this shit. Like I said, when you think about it, how often do you see the dragon walking around like, hold on, let me catch my breath? No, he go and he's just blowing it out, right? That's letting out hate. That's letting out death. So if we know that scripture says God put life into us through our nostrils, the spiritual community can tell you that. Like, it's a thing. All we have to do is like learn how to breathe. So that was a part of my formula. Because if you think about when you're ready to fight, you breathe it real fast. When your heart's ready to go and you're ready to punch somebody. So we just got to reset our nervous systems.
While we're on it, why don't you two tell us the steps that you both take? Because like we said, there are levels. So we're not sure if one way is similar to another, or if they might complement each other. You know what I mean? And it's ultimately how you respond to it, how you respond to your own treatment. Because nobody can tell you how to ultimately heal yourself. So everybody can take these steps and take the ones that resonate and heal themselves.
Right.
So why don't you guys let us know your individual steps?
You go first.
Coming from two different types of healing.
For sure. So for me, the steps, I kind of brought it down to through my own experience was starting off with awareness. Actually, before even awareness, of having the desire, having the desire to want to, get out of your situation, having the desire to want to be aware, having the desire to, want to be healed and be made whole and to, deal with what's going on. And so it's like, I have this quote, it's the level of our desire will determine the rate at which we acquire. And so how bad we want it will determine how soon we get it. Right. So desire is the first thing. And the second thing is awareness, being aware of our feelings, taking notice And as we're becoming aware of our feelings, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just what is. As we're taking notice of what's going on, noticing how I'm feeling, when I'm at a certain place, I notice I feel this way. When I'm talking to certain people, I notice I'm feeling like this. When I'm doing certain things, I'm noticing these feelings that are reoccurring. And like I said, as we take notice, it doesn't mean anything. It's just what is. But as we then take notice of it, here's the big question, is asking ourselves, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? And if we're willing to be open to that, if we're willing to be open to the answer in time, if we give it time, we'll find that in time we'll get the answer. Excuse me. And then the third thing is intentions. What are our intentions? Are we intending to be whole? Are we intending to heal? Or are we intending just to fit in? Are we intending just to kind of be like everybody else? Are we intending to, what are the intentions here? And so that's a big thing to be aware of and be mindful of, because it's, if you talk to somebody in there, you can feel people's intentions a lot of times as we pay attention. And so after, past intentions is then surrendering. And this is the hard part right here. Surrendering. The willingness to surrender. It sucks, it's hard, but it's necessary. It is so necessary. I don't know if you guys seen the movie.
Right, because nobody wants to just give in.
Right, exactly.
Yes, with Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
So, what was the name of the movie again? What was the name of the movie?
Lucy.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's really good. But I need you to repeat that quote, Johannes. You said the level of our desire. That was so good. I want to hear that again. Can you repeat it?
The level the level of our desire will determine the rate at which we acquire. It's all God inspired stuff. Look, you ain't giving me no credit. I want it. So in Lucy, that part when she sits on the guy's lap and stabs his hand, and she stabs both of his hands as he's getting the tattoo, and then she says something to the effect of, "Learning is always hard." And then she goes into something else, but that hit me because in that time when I really heard that quote, I was or when I really heard what she had to say, I was dealing with my own stuff. And so in realizing learning is hard, as we are, in this process of healing, we are learning and it's hard. As we are growing up and we're learning, you're learning how to ride a bike, you fall and you scrape your arm and stuff. It's hard. As you learn to public speak, it's hard. As we're learning,
you try to jump over a gate, you get impaled in the leg.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Look, learning to just throw the package over the gate and leave it. But anyways, but learning is hard, and so in that, I think sometimes we expect this process of healing to be easy when it's not going to be. It takes making conscious decisions, and it's not easy. It's not an easy thing, especially when we've been on autopilot for all these years. And so the willingness to surrender is it's very hard, but it's necessary. If you consider, some of the things that we've all, everybody has dealt with something, and some, extremely worse than others. The thing to consider is that in the process, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's worth it. And in that, whatever you may be feeling, whatever you may be dealing with, because it's like, as people, we want to continue, we want to hold on to it. It's like, no, I've been feeling like this all my life. You don't understand what I went through, and you're telling me that I have to let all this go. No, this is a part of me. And it's like, yeah, right. You got it. And this is the thing, though. It's like, do you want to continue to feel that way?
Is it really helping you, or is it holding you back?
Yeah. And so in that, that comes with the willingness to surrender what it is that we're holding on to, the things that we're dealing with, the ideas and the notions that we've grasped onto, that we've made a part of ourselves, that we believe to be ourselves. And in that, like you said, there's levels to this stuff. I mean, you get as far as trauma, as far as like cultures, as race and ethnicity.
Thank you, Stanford.
There's various levels of trauma to overcome, and it depends on how far we want to go. But after surrender, then it's having faith, believing, and continue to believe, even though the situation doesn't look like it, but continuing to believe what it is that we're looking for will come to pass. So it's desire, awareness, intentions, surrender, and faith.
And that was so good. I was going to say, if you call now, like for $19.99, we'll ship you some more sound bites. That was really deep. Like there was some really solid sound bites. Like that yeah. There's some levels to that. Like definitely some levels. I
Put the number in the comment section.
Yeah, put that in the comment section.
I can send you your individual vocals.
Yeah,
and you could.
That was deep. That was really deep. The only thing that I would add to what Johannes is saying for me, well, first I want to say everybody's formula will probably look different, right? Like don't do what I did. Eat this, not that. What I did is I had this vision that I was supposed to be sitting in the middle of something humming with candles all around me. And that was my state of Zen, right? Like I had this crazy visual of like what healing and calming down look like. So I say that to say everybody's formula will look different, but start one thing at a time, right? Because there's levels to it. And if you do like I did, I still don't think getting to that Zen state is far away from me, but I know that I have to go through the levels of each one, right? And so everybody's formula is going to look different. And for me, I started with compassion. And once I understood what compassion meant, which was be nice to your damn self, start there. Because if you're mean to yourself, that means you're mean on the inside, which means you're probably going to be mean to everybody else around you, and they're going to notice it, right?
And that's hard because most of us are our toughest critics.
Yes. So I started, and I know there's still more to go, but what this experience has done for me, whether it was I was struck by lightning, which I think I might have said that to you, Jason, at one point, something happened. And the first thing that I was instructed to do was to start to be compassionate with my damn self. And it started with what Johannes said earlier was the thought. So I have a choice of which thought I'm going to have about myself. One of them is a lot more pleasing to think about, where the other one takes me down this deep, dark abyss. And it's no fun to be there. And so I think when you
fall into a little bit of a depression when you do
that. Right. And some of us haven't gone so far into the abyss. We require like medicines or hospitalization. So obviously you can get so far down that it gets to that point. But when you do the self-awareness, as Johannes talked about, you catch yourself before you go down the wrong level, right? Because it's a ladder. You can keep going up, you can go down, but we know that when you go down, it's never ending. You're just going to keep going until there's no more energy left in your body. So start with the one thing with compassion, and you'll know that you've got it when you start to feel different about yourself. And then you can pick up on the next thing to do. But first, start with compassion. And ACEs, of course, as we would tell people, go get your ACE score, because that abbreviated quiz, just those 10 questions, will tell you most likely what's causing your stress in your life right now. And it may be deeper than what you think it is. And for everybody,
where can we get that ACEs score?
You can Google it. I'm gonna put a plug in for ACEs Matter, obviously, but go to acesmatter.org. If you don't mind putting your first name, then you can take it on my website. However, if you are self-conscious about your experiences, because we have always been taught to like not speak of feelings or emotions, because that's like, nobody wants to talk to emotions. So if that is the case, guess what? It's totally okay. Like nobody's going to judge you. We just want people to feel like they are normal. Like there is absolutely nothing that can't be addressed if you don't like it about yourself. So starting with your ACE score is what we would tell people, because it starts to create this visual for like, why do I feel this way in the first place? And then that's where the compassion part comes in. If you're not nice to yourself, nothing else is going to be in place. I digress.
Gosh sake, what's your language?
I'm sorry. That was my ringtone.
Perfect timing.
Right.
Well, as you can see, like I said, this wasn't false advertisement. There are levels to this shit. And not everybody comes from the same type of hurt. There's not the same type of trauma with everybody. Some people have multiple traumas. So you're always going to find new ways to better yourself and heal yourself. And most of what you guys are saying is where it starts with awareness and having compassion for yourself. So the first thing that you need to do is be aware that Talking Junk is on every Friday night. Come over here and hear all of this ear treasure that we're throwing out for you. And have compassion for yourself to share this with everybody that you know, so that way you can feel good about what you're doing in life, as well as start to heal what bothers you right here on Talking Junk. But cheap plugs aside, I did that because I know you guys are busy tonight and you have plans. So if you are willing, we'll do another roundtable of healing somewhere down the line, and maybe we'll bring a couple of other perspectives in to see just how many levels there are to this shit.
Jacob's Ladder says 33. Got some levels to go. Did I get that right, Johannes? Do you study? What's your spiritual? Am I putting you on the spot by asking you that question spiritually?
Yeah, goodness gracious. Jesus, no, I'm just playing. No, you're good. No, I don't mind. But yeah, no, I do. I read my Bible and I meditate a lot, and I listen to certain people, and I do have other books that I read too.
Yeah, I think so, to the healing for us too. Even though I'm telling people to start with compassion, but I think there was a huge spiritual component to me being able to calm my reptilian brain. So I don't want to leave without that plug, because again, everybody's formula is going to look different. Right. You gotta try something, right? Pick a thought. Pick a thought. Which thought is it going to be? Pick a thought. Right. Not a thought. Start somewhere. Not a thought, but a thought. Pick a thought.
Yes, don't pick a thought.
Don't pick a thought. Not a thought. Pick a. I will come up with something for that, but yeah, I definitely come back.
That's funny.
Perfect. And I
want to think. It's funny though, because I.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a lag on my end.
Okay. But I was gonna say, I actually, when I really started kind of getting into this, I wasn't as studious in my word when I came up with the whole formula versus now. But in that, it's all just stuff that still God is. Or I will say, I was raised in church, so I've always kind of been involved, but I've never was like consistently praying and consistently reading as I was going through this whole process and dealing with my own anxiety and depression and whatnot. But I can definitely attribute to the fact that God was always there to be sure that I didn't go down too far in the hole and to where He brought me out. But right. And within that process, things that He's told me and revealed to me. But just yeah, it's an interesting journey. It's been quite an interesting journey. We're all part-time Christians growing up.
We were part-time. They only like really look for me. For me, it was like, Easter Sunday was the thing, right? Right. We would go Easter Sunday, get all dressed up, maybe church, give or take a year. But for the most part, it was like we didn't really call on Jesus until things got bad. But for the rest of the time, we was part-time, right? So when you again, that's that template that we go back to. If you don't have that template, then anything can be programmed into you to believe, right? So I think that's like a huge part of like going towards the healing of yourself, that template.
Right. Because the mind is like a sponge, so you're going to soak up whatever you can, wherever you can.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I want to go ahead, Johannes.
No, go for it.
Mine's might be long, but I just the visual that you gave me, Johannes, as you were talking was like for people who took art in high school or middle school, y'all know they have these things called a canvas, like a blank canvas, like the kids paint on it. It's like a white square or rectangle type of thing that ring a bell. Right. So as you were talking, Johannes, it reminded me of like when we enter in this world, we're all like a blank canvas, just a white blank canvas that just ready to be painted on, ready to be hung up on some wall, ready to be sold at some garage sale, ready to be sold at some auction. Like all of us start out as like this blank canvas. But for some of us, depending on where and who you are born to, your canvas is going to arrive to the store with some nicks and dings on it. Right. So you think about that wooden, it's gonna be nicked up, right? And then what do they do with those nicked up canvases? They throw them in the clearance rack. On the clearance rack. So I give that parable, if you will, to say we Kids are waiting to be programmed. The baby is the blank canvas. We were all the blank canvases, but it really just depends on, what got thrown onto our canvas growing up that is dictating how we are responding to life as an adult. Some of us have been passed around from garage sale to garage sale, if you will. And that can mean like relationship to relationship. But I think when we realize that we can create our canvas to be whatever we want it to, canvas being like what was programmed into us, everybody has a chance at healing before going too far down that abyss.
We can all change these happy little accidents into happy little trees.
Yes. Yes.
That's definitely a legal voice right there.
There's levels to it.
I have to quote Bob Ross. I have to.
I have a dream that one day.
Most definitely. We need to all live out.
That's actually perfect that you had said that. Go for it.
No, go ahead. I stopped way before.
Okay.
So go ahead. It's all good.
Okay. I was going to say, no, that's actually perfect that you said that, Cendie, because if we consider, so in that, just like you're saying, it's funny. It's like we all have ways of saying the same thing, just in different ways. It's like, I have this, analogy. It's like, we're all an empty vessel. As a child, we are an empty vessel. Like you said, the blank canvas. And so we are all, like you're saying, we're all, things get put onto us, our canvas gets messed up and whatnot growing up. And so it's all the things that are getting put into us now, like physically, it's all the things that are getting put into our ears, especially as a child. From birth to 12 are the most formidable years of conditioning. And so depending upon, the type of home that we live in, the type of environment that we live in, it makes a significant difference in the outcome of our lives, unless we choose to, consciously make a decision that, hey, I want to change. I notice these things are happening within me and things need to be different. But within all of that, and even now moving forward for everybody, the thing is that within healing, we have to be mindful of what it is that we are listening to basis. What are we still feeding ourselves? Because our mind is being fed, our soul rather, is being fed all day. And so if we're looking to, be healed, or if we're looking to, stop being, a negative person, or, notice, taking notice of, negative thoughts are happening consistently, it's like we have to be mindful of what it is that we're feeding ourselves. And that's from, the conversations we're having to the music that we're listening to. Music being a big key here. I don't know if you've, there's this quote from Plato. He said, if you give me the music of it's something to the effect that he said, if you give me the music of a nation, and I will control the mind of that nation. And so music is a big player here in the type of music that we're listening to on a consistent basis. And then between that and social media also is a major factor here too, because it's all these little subconscious messaging that we're filling ourselves with. And so if for whatever condition that we are in now, it's like we have to take an account of what are we feeding ourselves. And if we're looking to get to a particular place, I need to feed myself according to that, so that way I can get there, because those things make all the difference.
Right. They definitely do.
I left off because I was like, I like that Plato quote. I got to go find that, but that is so true. So I just said on an interview or a podcast with somebody else recently that I'm always going back to ACEs. Like I'm always going back to childhood adversities, because I feel like everything goes back to that. And as you said that about the music, I want y'all to now think about all the music that gets elevated to the billboards that these people are winning these awards for. And if you think about the demographic that they are targeting, and I'm just gonna go on record and say, like, Cardi B, love her to death. I think she's got right. So
18 to 49.
That's it. I bring it back to ACEs to say they end up making billions of dollars off of our childhood adversities. How many of those rappers talk about being hungry and homeless, and then they put it in some music and talk about like having guns or selling this or drugging this dude, whatever. They take our ACEs and they turn them into entertainment, and they sell our trauma back to us. Think about it. Think about it. They sell our trauma.
It's not
back
just that way. It's in movies also.
In movies, in music. If you think about when all the hip hop and rap music started happening, when we lost the Marvin Gaye and the Sam Cooke life, right? If you think about it, all of a sudden the music just got violent and hoish, the different levels. So it was levels to that, right? And so now all of a sudden you've got Cardi B with, I wish I could say, millions of followers, if not 100 million followers. All of these people, both boys and girls, following people like Cardi B and people like all these rappers who are just programming our children to look for that life. But they're made, right. The industry itself is creating that level and making billions of dollars off of kids who have experienced traumatic childhoods. And if they can't create the story because of the real life experience, they coming up with these fake experiences and then selling them back to us, making it look
money
sexy.
Off of misery.
Making money off of misery and making it look sexy.
Right.
There's levels to that, right?
Yeah.
So I think when parents and people can like start to understand that, because we went through it. I love my Tupac back in the day, my Lil Wayne. I love all of them, right? But I did not realize what it was programming in my mind. It was programming in my mind to seek out crowds that like that type of stuff, right? Until you get to that place where you don't become desensitized by what is being programmed in your ears, then you can start to develop compassion for yourself and develop some more self-awareness. But it's levels to it, as you said.
Yeah,
there is.
So in that, you consider though, it's we can only produce. So taking what you said, it's like we can only produce what we are. We can only produce who we are. Right? And so the society that we've been born into, it's a broken society. And so a broken society is going to produce broken people, which is then going to produce broken families, and then a broken nation, or a nation of broken people. So it's like all this brokenness that's going around is because of the origins of where this all started. And so it's then taking notice of that and, being willing to look into, it's just the environment. It's our whole environment. There's so much. There's so much wrong with it, and we made everything. And as she's saying, it's like we just made everything okay. But it's in that it's the willingness to just look within to see what is going on within me.
But if we keep, go ahead, Jason.
No, it's okay.
No, I want to hear what you got to say.
Well, that's how they keep it controlled.
Yeah.
Yes. So again, you look, our energies are speaking to each other. So I was going to say, like, if we can keep them unconscious, then they'll never be made aware of this. How do I break out the matrix? Right? Like, exactly. Red pill, blue pill. We can connect to anything. So if I start your childhood off and I place things in your environment that contribute to you losing consciousness and not being aware of it, and then I can turn around and make money off of it, it is a win-win situation for certain levels of this game. If you think about it, go, Johannes, whisper it to me.
You mean like the metaverse?
Oh, yeah. It's levels to it, right? It's so many levels to it. So if I can keep you from being aware of how you got here, I'm gonna keep you high. I'm gonna keep creating Netflix series. I'm gonna keep finding Lil Waynes and put in the industry, Cardi B's, Megan Thee Stallions, and then I'm not gonna stop there, because not only am I gonna put people like Megan Thee Stallions in your face, shaking their booty, talking about blah blah blah. Then I'm gonna put on a Popeye's chicken commercial, so you're gonna be wanting all the stuff that's not good for you, right?
Right.
And so they looking at our childhoods and like, cha-ching. Let's keep them unconscious, right? Let's like keep them from asking, how did I get here? Why am all of a sudden am I wanting Popeye's chicken and a strip club at the same time? Like, oh my God. Like,
not even knowing that you heard 3-4 commercials throughout the whole day for Popeyes.
Yeah.
Subliminally. Somebody's car was playing it in the distance. It's all controlling the narrative. They control the narrative. They control us.
Keep you unconscious. If I can keep you unconscious, I can keep you as a customer. And so we have to get to a place where we can. It's a good one. We need to write that one down. Hold on.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Okay, you see, they be downloading. That's the type of stuff you can say when you free up some space up here. You got to free up some space up here, because otherwise, you know what? You want to stay high to stop from having to sit with yourself, or you want to stay intoxicated. And that was me. So when I share these, I'm sharing my story. I started my day with Adderall and I ended it with Ambien. That's how much I needed to disconnect from not understanding that my childhood was causing what I was experiencing in adulthood. That's how deep the Titanic was. I would start my day off with Adderall and I would end it with Ambien. And sometimes it was Ambien and wine, and now I need none of that. I don't need none of that to function today. All because I was like, you know what? There is a source out there waiting for me to reconnect with it. And got slapped in the face, like hit with a lightning bolt. And all of a sudden, that's kind of how Aces Matter evolved. Plug.
Well, I guess we can all agree that the best way to break the iceberg is knowing that you are not your trauma.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
And from there, we will end it on that note, because happy anniversary, madam. It is time to say good night. We're going to leave it on this level. I'm going to have Aces Matter and Speaking to the You and You links on the website. The new website. Yes, the new website. It's up. Everything's on there. Please visit. We need that traffic. We're going to have these links up all week. So be sure to go on there and learn about these levels. And nobody's answers are wrong. They're just alternate ways of thinking. How can I heal myself? So just think about it like that. And remember, it all starts right here on Friday nights on Talking Junk Network. So come, talkingjunknetwork.com, Talking Junk the podcast, break room on Saturday nights. My esteemed guests, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence again. And I look forward to our next meeting.
Virtual hugs.
Until next
Bye,
time.
y'all. Have a good
Bye.
weekend. Bye.
Junkers, I have been me. You have been you. Thank you for coming through. Have a great night. Heal yourselves, people. Heal yourselves.